Thanks for clicking. Here is a story where an accident has a Naruto from another reality occupying the body of his counterpart in another different reality. This is Chapter 1A of the Naruto fanfiction story, Dimensional Roads by FM Fan 1980. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy. How could you? Idiot, he's an Uchiha, the elite of this village. Do you know what you've done? You were supposed to bring him back without a scratch. Instead, you nearly killed him, you baka. He hurt the Uchiha boy. He needs to be punished. How dare that demon brat hurt the Uchiha boy? You accessed the Kyuubi chakra against a fellow Konoha shinobi. Naruto-kun. Naruto, by the order of the civilian and shinobi councils, I am so sorry, Naruto. The Kyuubi will be extracted from you, and sealed, before a new vessel can be found. If you survive the extraction, you will be exiled from Konoha. Naruto-kun, Tsunade-sama, this isn't right. Naruto-kun, if you can hear me, I'm going to seal you into a body scroll. You will be leaving the village with her. What have they done to him? I know you're not a shinobi, but you are heading south towards the coast for supplies, near the land of waves. Take the scroll with you. Everyone will suspect you would be heading towards Suna to the east, instead you will be heading towards, well, what would have once been Naruto's homeland. Naruto-kun. Thank you. The voices that surrounded and whispered at him from the darkness started to fade away, only to be replaced by a beep sound to his right side. He pressed his closed eyelids tight while more images entered his mind of a dark brown-haired woman, older than him by nearly 4 years. She was the one who got him out of Konoha, the one who helped Shizune heal him after the escape from that wretched village. The one who stayed by his side even when he was classified as a missing nin. She was always by his side through thick and thin, even when confronted by shinobi who were enemies of Konoha. Not that Konoha was not an enemy too, he just felt indifferent about them. Eventually, the two of them settled in the dense forests around what was once Uzushiogakure, the hidden whirlpool village. They were safe from enemies and former friends. After the betrayals, this was what Naruto desired, a measure of peace with someone he grew to love. Naruto-kun. The last thing he remembered was the scream of his wife just as there was a flash of white light. This was the umpteenth time he visited the destroyed village, one of many sojourns to explore what was once the Uzumaki homeland, when he discovered a locked cellar. The blood seal protecting the interior chamber of the cellar opened to his Uzumaki blood and revealed shelves upon shelves of scrolls. He remembered being surprised at the sight from outside, before cautiously walking into the room. His wife was in the outer room where there were thousands of dusty books arranged on shelves. There were other books piled on the floor, all covered in dust and cobwebs. He heard his wife coughing as a smile formed on his face before he stepped into the perfectly preserved scroll room. And just as he stepped into the room, there was a bright flash of light before his wife screamed out his name in worry. Beep. There was that sound again. Beep. No, he thought to himself as memories rushed into his mind of beatings by the villagers of Konoha. Oh, how they would beat him until he was bloody and bruised. Oh, how they would cut him, stab him, and leave him for dead while his blood flowed out of his body and onto the dirt-covered paths between buildings. The beep he was hearing now was the same sound he would hear just before waking up and finding the old man Hokage at the foot of his bed with a look of worry on his face. Beep. Oh, how he wanted to destroy that machine. This meant that he was somehow in Konoha. This was the last place he wanted to be. He was a missing nin for years, one who still held the Kyuubi within the seal located on his stomach. And his wife was in just as much danger as he was. And if they were in Konoha, as the familiar stench of the antiseptic in the air indicated, then they were all in danger. And there was no way this blasted village would touch his wife or their child. He would find them, and he would leave, by force if he had to. Beep. He snapped his eyes open and, instead of finding himself staring at a grayish ceiling with hanging fluorescent lights, he found himself staring at a wooden ceiling with lights that shone with warm white light. He narrowed his eyes at the unfamiliarity of the ceiling. Right, I've been away from this nightmare of a village for 5 years. But still, since when has the great Konoha hospital used wood? He frowned before sensing a presence to his left. Turning his head slowly, his heart stopped and his blood chilled at the sight of the pink-haired young woman sleeping on the couch placed against the far wall. His anger rose at the girl, Sakura, who was sitting with her shoulders hunched, her head hung downwards, and her legs tucked beneath her. How dare she? How dare she? Is the fucking Uchiha here too? No, oh no, if I'm here then. The sight of Sakura confirmed to Naruto that they were in Konoha. His wife. They had better not touch his wife. They had better not try anything with his unborn child. The old hag, Tsunade, swore he would only come if she called for him. And even then, it would have been his choice. Naruto slowly and noiselessly sat up on the soft bed. His eyes only moving away from the pink-haired girl for a few seconds to stare at the IV lines going into his wrist before looking down at the sensors on his bare chest. He then looked up at the still sleeping pink-haired girl while pulling out the lines that were inserted into his veins. After pulling out the lines, some blood spattered out onto the crisp white sheets on the bed, the injuries healing very quickly. He then placed a hand on the sensors on his chest. He knew that once the sensors were pulled away, the machine's alarm would blare since there was no heartbeat being registered. Naruto tensed his muscles. He was ready to leap out of bed and take out one of the many girls who betrayed him over 5 years ago. It was Sakura's betrayal that cut the deepest. She was his crush, and, most importantly, his teammate. And then I am taking my wife, my child, and leaving once again, Naruto thought to himself. His child would never grow up in Konoha, a village of darkness, hatred, and secrets. His hand gripped the cluster of wires on his chest. 3. His fingers were gripping the wires tighter and tighter. 2. A smile formed on his face. I am going to enjoy this. Bitch. 1. He pulled the connections off his chest and then, just as the pink-haired girl stirred, just as the machine registered no heartbeat, he turned his body and leapt off the bed. By the time Sakura, still groggy from her sleep, opened her eyes and stared at him, he was standing over her with his right arm pulled back. Naruto, she whispered, her voice confused, just before his fist impacted the side of her head. Naruto growled at the impact of his fist against the side of Sakura's head. Naruto enjoyed the shocked look on Sakura's face as she fell over the armrest and landed on the floor. Naruto, what the? Her screeching voice stopped and a pained gasp escaped her mouth after he kicked her hard in the abdomen. He kicked her hard in the head. He swore he heard a crack, and then he kicked into her abdomen just as memories of a bright sunny day flooded his mind. It was a day when he was badly injured, but still returned to the village under his own power with an unconscious and badly beaten Uchiha Sasuke on his back. The moment he stepped through the gates, he was surrounded by medical personnel who took away the Uchiha boy but left him alone. He had to fend for himself. He remembered Sakura and Ino, as well as many others rushing to the massive gates, watching in stunned silence as Sasuke was taken away. I brought him back for you, Sakura-chan, Naruto whispered as a smile formed on his face. He brought the traitor back for her, she asked, and he did it for her. He would do anything for her. He wanted to ask her out again. Naruto was about to collapse from sheer exhaustion, but he still stood tall for her. How could you? Sakura growled. Ino was standing next to Sakura with an enraged look, her hands clenched into fists. Ino too growled out, idiot, he's an Uchiha, the elite of this village. Do you know what you've done? She, Sakura, and a few other girls raced forward at Naruto when he was already weakened. You placed the last Uchiha in danger. You were supposed to bring him back without a scratch. Instead, you nearly killed him, you idiot. Sakura yelled before punching him. Naruto fell to the ground and screamed in pain as Sakura, Ino, and a few other girls he didn't recognize started to beat him. He felt Sakura's hard kicks. He felt his bones break. He felt the kicks on his face, the sides and the back of his head, his back, his chest. He was sure he heard ribs cracking. Naruto lost track of time when he was being viciously attacked. What seemed like hours of being beaten was only 2 minutes before he heard unfamiliar voices joining in after one of the girls mentioned to others what he had done. An apparently egregious crime of defeating the village elite, an Uchiha. Naruto continued screaming in pain the more he was beaten. He was begging for them to stop, his ears ringing with Sakura and Ino's words of hate.